I'm Rod Wortham, and welcome to this episode of Raceface Driver Updates here on Racing America. We had 8 drivers in action this week, everything from NASCAR trucks in Virginia, Cars Tour in North Carolina, Super Late Models in Colorado, Pro Late Models in Washington, Legends, Bandos, and Quarter Midgets in Georgia. Plus, we have Who's Next with Anthony Alfredo, who sat down with Raceface driver Casey Klein. So let's get right to the results. Caden Honeycutt was at Ace Speedway for the Puryear Tank Lines 125. Caden qualified third and ran in the top 5 for the entire race, eventually bringing home a third place finish. Caden currently sets second in points heading into the Cars Tour race at Motor Mile Speedway on August 27th. We now shift gears to the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series and Caden's second start with On Point Motorsports in his number 30 Friends of Jacqueline Rangeline Toyota. Caden qualified 21st and finished 21st in a race that saw only one caution outside of the stage breaks. Here's what Caden had to say after the race.
Hey everybody, it's Caden Honeycutt here. Just finished up here at Richmond Raceway. What a tough race for us, honestly. We struggled all through stage 1, all through stage 2. It was so free and just couldn't get the balance right. Ultimately went laps down, and then we had that caution there with 30 to go, and it just came to life. Like it was unbelievable. We passed like 18 trucks that last run, and was running at 11th place on times. And it was not from a valiant effort. Last change we made, it was just that big of a change, and it made it work. But the good thing is we know what to do when we come back here, where to start at least. But I just can't thank all my guys, man. They worked so hard, and we worked so hard in the shop this week. On Point Motorsports, Stephen Lane, Rick, Kyle, Will, all my sponsors that helped us, Tony Valento, Friends of Jacqueline, Rangeline, Dave Drago for their support, my mom and dad, my girlfriend at home, their support as well, all my family. Just thank y'all so much for watching tonight, if y'all watched, and we'll come back stronger for Kansas. 3-week break, do some notes. We're going to do some testing on the pull down rig, and we're going to get it right and get it ready for Kansas. And luckily we have an intermediate truck for that, unlike this time. So we'll be ready for that. So thank you guys so much for your support, and we'll see y'all at Motor Mile for the Cars Tour race. So we'll see you guys then.
Caden and the team will take what they've learned this week to Kansas Speedway on September 9th. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we check in on Cassidy Hines and Brody Moore, who were both at Colorado National for the Challenge Cup 150, plus Hudson Bulger back at Chris Motorsports Park in his legend car. So stay right there. We'll be back with more Raceface driver updates here on Racing America.
Hey everybody, this is Anthony Alfredo, and you're watching Raceface Driver Updates here on Racing America.
Welcome back. Brody Moore was at Colorado National for the 47th running of the Challenge Cup 150. Brody qualified his number 14 Garage Condo Super Late Model in 11th. Shortly after the start of the race, Brody lost his power steering, and a rain delay near the halfway point gave the young Colorado driver a chance to catch his breath. Once the track was dry and the race went back to green, Brody restarted in 10th and raced his way to a 6th place finish. After the race, one of the top 5 did not pass post-inspection, and he was officially awarded 5th place. However, the race results are still under review. Up next for Brody, back to the 5150 Junior Late Model Series at Madera Speedway on August 27th, where he currently sets 4th in points. Cassidy Hines also competed in the Challenge Cup 150 at Colorado National Speedway in her number 3C Fort Worth screen printing Super Late Model. Cassie qualified 6th and ran in that position for most of the race before the rain set in, forcing a 1-hour delay. After track drying was completed and the field went back to green, with 75 laps remaining, she brought home an 8th place finish, unofficially, but was rewarded a 7th place because of that car who failed post-race inspection. And as I said earlier, the race results are still under review. Let's check in with Cassidy on her take on the evening.
What's up, guys? I just raced my Fort Worth screen printing Ford Super Late Model at Colorado National Speedway for the Challenge Cup 150, and we had an eventful day, to say the least. I ended up qualifying 6th, and then for the main, they originally wanted to split it in half and give us a 7-minute break in between the two groups. And then during the first half of the race, we were about to finish, we had 1 lap left, and it started pouring. So we were on the track for an hour, waiting for the rain to stop and getting the track dried off so that we could go racing again. We eventually did get to go racing, but the car was very loose to the point where it was almost undrivable, I guess you could say. But we finished the race, we finished top 10, and it came home in one piece, so that's all that matters. I can't thank all of my sponsors enough: Frontier Restoration, Fort Worth Screen Printing, Commit to Fitness, Total Health Solutions, Matco Tools, 5280 Pit Lighting, the Friends of Jacqueline Foundation, Raceface Brand Development, and my crew for all of their help today. They did awesome.
Up next for Cassidy, Super Late Models at Colorado National Speedway on August 27th. Hudson Bulger was at Chris Motorsports Park in his number 17 Can-Am Byron Superstore Legends car for dual legend car events. We were able to catch up with Hudson after the race.
So we just wrapped it up here at Chris Motorsports Park. Feel like qualifying didn't go the way we wanted it to, but we started the race 9th and it worked our way up to 7th, but there was a lot of cautions, ended up in one of the restarts falling back to 8th. And started the next race. It was also a lot of cautions in that race, a little bit of rough racing. Worked our way up to 4th and then fell back to 8th at the end of the race. His car couldn't hang on the outside. So we're going to work on that, work on a little bit of racecraft stuff so we can be ready for next weekend, which we also have a double feature here at Chris Motorsports Park. But I'd like to thank Can-Am, Byron Outdoor Superstore, XPS Lubricants, Cirque Motorsports, Chris Dobeck, Brett Reagan, and everybody else makes it happen.
Up next, Georgia Nationals at Chris Motorsports Park on this Friday and Saturday. We're headed for another commercial break, and when we return, we'll catch up with Casey Klein at Wenatchee Super Oval and take a look at his Who's Next interview with Anthony Alfredo. All of that and more when we return with more Raceface driver updates here on Racing America.
Hi, my name is Grant Thompson, and you're watching Raceface Driver Updates on Racing America.
Welcome back. Casey Klein was at Wenatchee Valley Super Oval for the Columbia River Throwdown 76 lap main event. Casey qualified 6th, but started on the pole with the invert. We caught up with Casey on Sunday for a quick race recap.
Hi, I'm Casey Klein. This weekend I was racing at Wenatchee Valley Super Oval. It was a 75-lap Pro Late Model race. I ended up bringing my backup car because I wanted to save my new car for my Super Late Model race coming up. I had an okay car throughout practice. It would not turn through the corner, and that translated over to qualifying. I ended up qualifying 6 out of 8 cars. I had a okay car in the main. I started on the pole and I just got shuffled back to 7th on the start, but I was able to work my way back up to 5th for the end of the race.
Up next, Super Late Models at Meridian Speedway on Saturday. Speaking of Casey Klein, here are the highlights of his Who's Next interview with Anthony Alfredo that ran last week on Racing America's Bullring.
Hello, everybody. Anthony Alfredo here with a new episode of Who's Next. Today, we head to Quincy, Washington to interview Casey Klein, the 14-year-old racer who started racing at age 7 in bandos and karts, but we've got him with here online to hear more about his story and where he's at now. Casey, how you doing?
Doing good yourself?
I'm doing well, thank you. Well, first off, let's start with some of the series you've been racing in the 5150 series with MAB TV at Madera Speedway. I know you've been driving in the junior late models, pro late models, even some super late model stuff. So, starting out in karts and bandoleros, how's that transition been to full bodied stock cars going for you?
The transition's been going pretty good. The first couple years I was transitioning, it was kind of a struggle, but now that I am in the juniors for a couple years, it's been pretty easy, and I'm working my way up there, and I've been doing pretty good this year.
Well, I see so far you're second in the points in the junior late model, so definitely is going really well for you. Hopefully, you're able to close out with the championship or something like that. You have a lot of top threes in all your starts, and even a late model win out at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Was that at the Bull Ring?
Yeah, that was at the bull ring.
Oh, perfect. That's our where we're cutting to after this episode. So, 10th place finish as well in the Summer Showdown. And one cool fun fact I want to point out was you raced with your dad in a really big race, and I believe you were the youngest to start that race. So, what exactly was that? What'd that mean to race with your father as well?
Oh, it definitely meant a lot because he's been kind of my inspiration. He was the reason I got into racing. So being able to race with him in a pretty big race was kind of cool and just different.
That's awesome to hear. And I know you're racing with Nate Clower, I believe, is the team in the junior late model program you're competing with, which is also where we've seen Jesse Love, Haley Deegan, and Joey East compete with, and been climbing the ranks through the ARCA and some truck series starts as well. So definitely a path that's already kind of been paved. So do you plan to go that route as well yourself?
Oh yeah, I definitely plan to try to go that route myself.
That's awesome. Well, I know your sponsor has a pretty unique connection to Lay's potato chips. If I'm not mistaken, they actually grow the potatoes that are used. Is that correct? Tell us a little bit about that, how you met them, and how that relationship all began.
So my mom is a general manager there, so that's how we kind of got connected with them. But yeah, they grow potatoes for Lay's. So when you're eating a bag of Lay's potato chips, my sponsor could have been the provider for those potatoes for the potato chips.
That's really neat. That's a unique story and sponsor to have. Thamer Farms is the partner of yours that does that. So every time I'm eating a bag of potato chips, I'm gonna have to think about that. Good chance that it was grown by them. So I know you have some stories here. You're big into motorsports, anything with a motor. That's how I was growing up. I think you had a pretty wild razor accident, if I'm not mistaken. So how did that happen? What was that like? And were you all right?
Yeah, so I was just riding my razor around in our field because they weren't growing anything because it's during the winter, and I took a corner pretty fast and I flipped like 3 or 4 times, and I bent the roll cage down below my head and I ended up getting a concussion, but I was fine. I walked away from it.
That's pretty insane. I'm glad to hear you're all right. As a race car driver, usually you think most of those accidents might occur on the track, but obviously we're adrenaline junkies and always pushing the envelope and pushing the limits and anything we find ourselves behind the wheel of. But I also know you're a sim racer, and at least sim racing, you usually have a reset button, so that's a little more convenient. But do you do iRacing frequently, and how did you get into that?
Yeah, I've been doing iRacing frequently recently. I got into it really big when COVID started. We got a series put on, I think by Rod actually, for junior late model drivers, and we just raced at some of the bigger tracks in iRacing. So we had some racing to do while everything was shut down.
That's awesome to hear. I know sim racing and iRacing definitely blew up during all that. I myself was doing a lot more of it. I already been on there, but got the chance to compete in the first national televised event for esports and iRacing, the Pro Invitational Series. Really cool to see that. But to wrap things up, we want to do some rapid fire questions. Are you ready for that?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Well, first up, favorite movie.
Uh, Days of Thunder.
Excellent. Favorite band?
AC/DC.
How about your favorite food?
Definitely steak.
Awesome. And favorite sport other than racing to either compete in or watch?
Football for sure.
Football, love it. Last but not least, favorite race car driver?
Dale Earnhardt Sr.
Excellent. The Intimidator, as he was called. Very cool. Well, we appreciate your time today, Casey, and good luck the rest of your season. You've accomplished a lot so far. We wish you well and hope you continue to have a ton of success. That is today's episode of Who's Next. I'm your host, Anthony Alfredo. Now back to the bull ring.
We're headed for our last commercial break, and when we come back, we'll check in on Cole Denton at Chris Motorsports Park and Carter Whalen and Landon Cox at North Georgia QMA. We'll be right back with more Raceface driver updates here on Racing America.
Hi, I'm Jesse Love, and you are watching Raceface Driver Updates on Racing America.
Welcome back. Cole Denton was at Chris Motorsports Parks for dual races, and for the first time this year, the young Mississippi driver had a rough weekend. Cole finished 10th in race 1 and 3rd in race 2. Now, most drivers would be happy with that, a top 10 and a top 5 finish, but Cole wasn't, and that's why he's chasing a national championship. Cole will be back at Chris Motorsports Park this weekend for rounds 14 and 15. Landon Cox was at North Georgia QMA where he had an awesome day of racing, setting 2 new track records in Junior Honda and Junior 160. The club had a full day of racing, and that included 2 rounds. In round 1, Landon finished first in Junior Honda, where he led every lap and lapped the field. He finished first in Junior Animal and second in Junior 160. Now on to round 2. The young Georgia driver swept the next round, parking it in victory lane in Junior Honda, Junior Animal, and Junior 160. Up next for Landon, Dixie Shootout at Huntsville QMA this weekend. Carter Whalen was also at North Georgia QMA, but he was just there to get a little seat time in his brother's car named Bob, since his stable of cars is already set up for the Dixie Shootout this weekend. Carter finished 4th in both A mains. Let's check in with Carter.
Hey guys, came out here to NGQMA this weekend for a local club race. Brought my brother's car since all my Landon Cox Racing X-Wing cars are set up for Huntsville. Got our eyes on the big picture with that next weekend. But back to this weekend, we raced a doubleheader today, qualified P4 in the first A main, finished P4, and then in the second A main, finished P4 again. Had a pretty consistent car, but just didn't have the speed, especially in this car this weekend. But next weekend, that's the one we're going after, the Huntsville Dixie Shootout Series. Can't wait to be representing all my sponsors out there next weekend. Landon Cox Racing, the Cox family, Ultimate QM, Conquest Strategic Marketing, Proactive Motorsports, Mark Tuggle RV, and A1 Auto Cores.
Good luck to the Landon Cox Racing team this weekend. Other Raceface drivers seeing action this weekend include Anthony Alfredo and Sheldon Creed return to the NASCAR Xfinity Series after a week off and take on the 2.5-mile road course at Watkins Glen International on Saturday. Connor Mozak pulls double duty at Watkins Glen, first on Friday in the ARCA Menards Series General Tire 100. Then he makes his second NASCAR Xfinity start with Sam Hunt Racing in the number 26 Rad Cats Toyota. Keep up with Connor Friday on FS1 at 6 p.m. Eastern Time and Saturday the Xfinity at 3 p.m. Eastern Time on the USA Network. Jesse Love will pull double duty in the ARCA Menards Series. First, the General Tire 100 at Watkins Glen on Friday. That race will be live on FS1 at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Then on Sunday, he will take to the dirt at the Illinois State Fairgrounds for the Atlas 100. Catch that race on flowracing.com or MAV TV at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Joey East returns to the ARCA Menards West Series at Evergreen Speedway in Monroe, Washington on Saturday in his number 54 Nate Clower prepared Ford. The race will be streamed live on flowracing.com at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Time. Well, that's it for this week's Raceface Driver Updates. And remember, if you missed any of our shows, you can get caught up at raceface.tv on demand. Don't forget to follow us on social media. As always, we encourage you to support local racing in your communities. We'll be back next week with more from your favorite Raceface drivers. So go out there, have a great race week. I'm Rod Wortham. Thanks for watching.